Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we are back here. Nuliana, masih tak dapat jawapan lagi ni? Where are you? Disappeared. Okay, Timothy, give me one reason.
Dia punya penghutang mati.
Penghutang mati, alah. In English? In English?
Died.
Died. Okay. The death of the debtor. Alright. Okay. So Max bagi tadi bankruptcy. The second reason is the death of the debtor. Okay. Alright. There are two more reasons. Okay. Melissa, can you give me one? Melissa, can you give me one reason? One more reason. We have four reasons. Okay. Why? Okay, so your friends give me bankruptcy and the death of the debtor. So Melissa bagi madam satu lagi, one more. Debtor is insane. Insane tu apa Melissa? Insane tu apa Melissa? Agak-agak awak insane tu apa? Gila. Okay, thank you. Okay, last one. The reason why. Okay. Can I have Vienna? Vienna, last reason. Okay, the fourth reason why bankruptcy happens. Death. Bad debts happen, sorry. Apa sebab?
Yes, madam.
Okay, give me one more reason. You already have three, kan? Okay, give me the last one.
Cannot be traced, madam.
Cannot be traced means? Cannot be
Tidak
traced
boleh
means?
tidak boleh tidak boleh kejap. Apa ya bahasa Melayu?
Tidak boleh dikesan.
Ya.
Macam kamu orang lah kan bila nak hantar tutorial tu, cannot be traced. Lepas dah habis hantar tutorial tu, semua ada balik online. Okay, alright. So there are four reasons why bad debts happens. Okay, so one is bankruptcy, the second one is insane debtors. Okay, the third one is the death of the debtors. Okay, and the fourth one is the debtor cannot be traced. Okay, so as I said earlier, right, kita akan record bad debts expense ni. Okay, bad debt will be recorded in the statement of profit or loss. Okay, in the expenses section. Alright, and will be recorded as bad debt expense. Okay, so this is to comply to the expenditure recognition principle. Okay, so how many methods do you have? Okay, to accounts for bad debts. Ada berapa method yang kita akan belajar untuk catat bad debts? We have two methods. Okay, the other day madam dah explain sikit dia punya intro. Okay, Fahira bagi dua. Can you give me one, Fahira? One method. Apa tu, Fahira? One is allowance method. Okay, Fahira dah bagi. Satu ialah allowance method. Okay, the second one, Jurin. Jurin, are you here? Jurin Nurain binti Josni. Adakah tidak? Okay, give me one more method besides allowance method. Jurin? Jurin ada tak? Direct write-off method. Okay, thank you, Jurin. So we have two methods, okay, to account for bad debts. Okay, so one is direct write-off method. Okay, direct write-off method yang ini is a method, satu kaedah untuk catat bad debts. Okay, the second method is allowance method. Alright, okay. Tapi kalau dalam soalan, when you come across the sentence ataupun the phrase written off, okay, so kalau awak jumpa perkataan written off, that is not actually indicating the method. Written off tu ialah satu perbuatan untuk kita menghapuskan hutang tersebut. So the phrase is written off. Tapi kalau method, the method is actually direct write-off method. Okay, so untuk dua-dua method ni, for both methods, okay, the direct write-off method and also allowance method, dua-dua method ni ada perbuatan written off the bad debts tu. Maksudnya dua-dua kaedah ni ataupun methods ni ada situasi di mana kita akan menghapuskan bad debts tadi. Alright? Okay. So we'll go through 7.4.1 first. Okay, we are going to calculate bad debts amount and we are going to record it, okay, in a form of general ledger, okay, using the direct write-off method. Okay, so macam mana cara nak catat direct write-off method untuk record bad debts? Okay, so kita tengok example 1. Alright. Okay, this is for you to calculate bad debts amount. Okay, so you're supposed to calculate the bad debts amount and then you are supposed to record it using the direct write-off method. Okay, so bila kita catat yang ini, this is actually for adjusting entries. Okay, that means the item ataupun perbuatan ni will be done during ataupun on the closing date of the accounting period. Okay, so kalau kita guna kaedah direct write-off method, okay, how do we record the accounts receivable that is written off? Okay, so catatan jurnal untuk writing off the bad debts ni. Okay, alright. Okay, I just got a message from Dayang Natasha. Okay, datuk dia baru meninggal dunia. So takziah untuk dia. Okay, so she won't be joining us today. Alright. Okay. So catatan untuk accounts receivable written off is debit bad debt expense. Okay, and we will credit accounts receivable. Okay, XX yang ada dekat sini, this is actually referring to the name of your subsidiary. Okay, alright. So this is to record the write-off of bad debts. Okay, this is actually what you have done in topic ataupun chapter 5. Okay, bila kita buat adjustment, okay, when you come across ada hutang yang tak dapat dibayar, that is bad debts. Okay, so we are going to write off the amount of bad debts from your accounts receivable. Okay, so when you are using the direct write-off method, okay, this is how we record the item in the general journal. Alright, sorry, general ledger. Okay, so kita tengok example. Okay, example 1. Alright, Dexter determines that it cannot collect, okay, the amount of money cannot be collected is 9,300. Okay, so 9,300 ni ialah from its accounts receivable under the customer name Lester Company. Okay, so how are we going to record this transaction in the general journal? Alright, okay, first of all you need to see the date of the transaction. Okay, so let's say the accounting period is the accounting period ended on the 31st of December. Okay, so the adjusting entry date will be on the 31st of December as well. Okay, so tarikh ni ialah tarikh adjusting entries lah. Alright, so there will only be one adjusting entries every accounting period for bad debts expense. Okay, so as I said earlier, alright, so Lester Company ni are not able to pay for the accounts receivable. Okay, and the amount is 9,300. So we are going to write off tu maksudnya delete lah, buang nilai ni from the accounts receivable. Okay, so kita tahu account receivable is actually an asset. So bila asset bertambah kita akan debit, but in this case since we are writing off the amount, maksudnya you akan buang nilai ni from your accounts receivable, so this amount will be deducted from the amount in your account receivable. That means asset you akan berkurang. So accounts receivable kita akan creditkan. Okay, so apa account yang akan didebitkan? So this amount, since dia tak boleh collect, dia tak akan dapat collect duit ni, So this amount will be considered as an expense. Dianggap telah dibelanjakan dan dibelanjakan sebagai hutang lapuk, bad debts. Okay, so that is why you will debit bad debt expense. Okay, and kita akan credit accounts receivable. Okay, under the name of Leicester Company. Alright, the amount here is 9,300. Okay, so what actually we are doing here in this general journal, we are actually recording the write-off of bad debts. Maksudnya you buang nilai 9,300 ni from your accounts receivable. Why? Because this particular person are not able to pay you the debts. Dia tak mampu nak bayar. Okay, so this amount will be considered as bad debts expense. So dekat sini actually tak ada cash flow. You are not actually paying to that particular person. It's just that the amount is deducted. Okay, berlaku pengurangan dalam your accounts receivable. Alright, so this is how you record bad debt expense. Okay, using the direct write-off method. Okay, ini satu method lah. So bila kita nak write off our accounts receivable because of due to dia tak mampu nak bayar kan. Okay, so what happened here is you need to write off this amount from the accounts receivable. Okay, so if I'm using the direct write-off method, my journal entry will be debit bad debt expense, credit accounts receivable 9,300. Okay, so this amount here is either given in the question, okay, ataupun you kena kira. Sometimes you kena tolak from somewhere to get this amount. But normally for direct write-off method, the amount is already given in the question. Okay, alright. Ada apa-apa nak tanya tak? You have anything to ask on example 1? Ada apa-apa nak tanya? Boleh faham ke?
Boleh.
Boleh.
Boleh, madam. Dia ada
Okay.
soalan, madam.
Bagus. Sopannya hari ni. Okay. Alright, kita tengok 7.4.2. Okay, so 7.4.2 sama juga. Kita nak calculate bad debts amount and we are supposed to record the written off of bad debts. Tapi yang ini untuk 7.4.2 kita tak guna direct write-off method. Instead of kita guna allowance method. Okay, so bila allowance method tu cara catat dalam journal berbeza. Okay, because allowance for doubtful debts tu dah wujud dalam soalan. So the item will be proportionately transferred to allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so untuk allowance for doubtful debts ni ada dua cara untuk kira allowance, the allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so we can either use the amount that is taken from the percentage on your accounts receivable. Okay, yang ini percentage tu will be calculated from the last balance atau from the CF balance of your accounts receivable. That is one cara. Okay, and the second one is either you take the percentage from your net credit sales. Okay, so when I said net credit sales, that means your credit sales dah tolak dengan all your returns and discount. So you'll get your net credit sales and after that you will multiply with the percentage given. Okay, alright. Since we are using allowance method, okay, kalau kita guna direct write-off method, we will debit bad debt expense and we will credit. That means the amount is still written off from your accounts receivable. Okay, and will be debited into your bad debt expense. Okay, tapi in the allowance method, instead of debiting your bad debt expense, kita tak buat macam tu ya. Sebab kita ada allowance for doubtful debts. That means from early of the accounting period, kita dah ada sejumlah nilai, okay, which is already put aside, considered as your doubtful debts, anggaran, okay, yang kita anggarkan tidak dapat dikutip for that current accounting period. Okay, so whenever there is amount yang confirm, yang betul-betul tak boleh dikutip, so you need to write off from your accounts receivable. So instead of debiting your bad debt expense, kita akan debit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so ni ada beza lah from your direct write-off method. Kalau direct write-off method, madam akan debit bad debt expense. Kenapa debit bad debt expense? Sebab bila kita guna direct write-off method, allowance for doubtful debts, nama account ni, ledger ni tidak wujud. Okay, sebab tu kita debit bad debt expense. Okay, but when we are using the allowance method, kita akan debit allowance for doubtful debts, tapi we are still crediting our accounts receivable. That means the amount will still be written off from all your debtors concern. Okay, so maksudnya dekat sini kita masih tolak nilai ni daripada subsidiary yang tak mampu untuk bayar hutang tadi. So both journals, kalau you tengok, are doing the same thing. Okay, yang ni to record write off of bad debts, yang di bawah ni is also doing the same thing, which is also recording the write off of bad debts. Alright. Okay, tapi apa beza dia? Beza dia, the first one here, alright, I am using direct write-off method, okay? And the second one here, I am using allowance method. Okay, boleh kot? Okay, alright. So kita tengok contoh dulu. Okay, we look at example 2. Okay, at the end of 2016, okay, Rizali company has account receivable of 700,000 and an allowance for doubtful accounts of 54,000. Okay, you boleh tengok dekat sini ya. This is actually a clue ataupun panduan lah, okay? Sebab kadang-kadang we need to know kan, when are we supposed to use our direct write-off method and when are we supposed to use the allowance method, okay? So in order to use the allowance method, in the question given, di mana-mana dalam soalan tu mesti ada clue yang will will drive you to the situation, okay? So kalau you tengok dekat sini, macam mana madam tahu apa method yang madam nak guna di example 2, okay? I look at the first sentence here, right? Okay, so you can see the one that is in red, dia ada mention dekat sini, and allowance for doubtful accounts. Maksudnya dia bagi tahu allowance for doubtful debts account wujud dalam account-account yang ada dalam perniagaan tersebut. That means this one indicates atau give you the clue, okay, that we are actually using allowance method. Okay, so bila saya dah tahu which method I am using, so I know how to record in my general journal. Okay, alright. So dia mention dekat sini, they have already allocated an amount of 54,000 in allowance for doubtful debts. Ini anggaran That's why we said allowance for doubtful debts. Doubtful ni macam ragu-ragu kan? Okay, so it's actually belum confirm lagi, tak dapat dikutip. Tapi based on previous experience, sebab biasa dah buat perniagaan beberapa tahun, so you know how much to expect not to be collected from your debtors. Okay, so this is the amount that is this is the amount that is considered ataupun dianggarkan tak boleh dikutip. Okay, alright. Tapi bukan semua tak boleh dikutip Okay, you see the second sentence, dia bagi tahu the company learns that it's receivable from Honey Incorporated. Okay, so sekarang ni kita ada sejumlah nilai from Honey Incorporated, which is your accounts receivable, and are not we are not able to collect this amount of money. Okay, so nilai itu berapa sebenarnya? Nilai sebenar yang tak dapat dikutip hanyalah RM7,000 sahaja. Alright, okay, so since RM7,000 yang confirm tak dapat dikutip, so this amount will be reverted into your allowance for doubtful debts account. Okay, so macam mana kita nak buat journal entry? So kita akan follow exactly like the example given. Okay, so tarikh, okay, sebab dia ada mention dekat atas ni, at the end of 2016. That means the adjusting date will be on the 31st of December. Okay, tarikh is very crucial. Make sure your tarikh is betul, because adjusting entries, kalau tarikh salah, the whole journal is considered salah. Alright, okay, so apa yang kita akan debit? Kita akan debit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, and kita akan credit accounts receivable under the name of Honey Incorporated. Okay, so we are actually, what are we doing actually? We are recording the write-off of bad debts. Okay, so how much are we recording as bad debts here? Okay, bukan 54,000 it's only 7,000 ringgit. Okay, sebab 54,000 is allocated for all your debtors, kemungkinan yang tak dapat dikutip. Tapi the only confirm amount that are not able to be collected is only from Honey Incorporated, and the amount is 7,000 ringgit. Okay, alright, sampai sini boleh faham? You have anything to ask me? Nampak senang kan?
Ya.
Ya, nampak senang. Sebab dia bagi contoh yang simple-simple je. Sekarang ni, the tricky part is, untuk allowance method, okay, nilai 7,000 ni, selalunya tidak diberi dalam soalan ya. Nilai 7,000 ni perlu dicari, perlu dikira. Okay, so if you are using the direct write-off method, the amount is normally given in the question. Tapi kalau kita guna allowance method, okay, this 7,000 ni selalunya tidak akan diberi dalam soalan. Alright, so you need to calculate. Okay, so kita nak calculate is kita kena cari dia punya percentage lah. Okay, so that's why just now I mentioned about the percentage. Okay, percentage upon apa? Okay, it's either upon your accounts receivable ataupun percentage upon your net credit sales. Okay, so dua cara untuk kira your allowance for doubtful debts ni. Okay, using the allowance method. Yang ni they will mention in the question. It's just that the 7,000 is not given. Okay, so kita kena kira sendiri. So this is the most tricky part in chapter 7. Okay, alright, we'll go through one by one. Okay, so sekarang kita tengok balik macam mana cara, okay, nak kira allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, using the allowance method. Okay, tapi the allowance method here is based on percentage on accounts receivable and net credit sales. Okay, so I go for the percentage on accounts receivable dulu. Okay, so percentage on account receivable, so percentage tu kita nak ambil from which amount? Okay, sebab accounts receivable tu dia ada banyak kan. Dia ada nilai baki awal, dia ada nilai baki akhir. So what actually we are going for in this value? Okay, we are going to look at the baki akhir ataupun the CF balance from your accounts receivable. Okay, alright. So you look at example 3. Okay, let's say in the question given, dia dah bagi, okay, the first item that is given in the question, dia bagi balance brought forward allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, dia dah bagi baki awal untuk allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, apa tujuan dia bagi awak maklumat ini? This is to indicate, maksudnya daripada dua method yang kita belajar tadi, I will use allowance method. Sebab bila dia bagi tahu ada baki, that means AFDD telah wujud. Okay, it's already there. So since it's already there, we are supposed to use allowance method. method. We are not allowed to use direct write-off method. Okay, so ni pun salah satu cara ataupun clue, okay, to determine the method used for calculating the bad debts. Alright, okay, so given here the balance brought forward, baki awal, for the AFDD is 500 ringgit. Okay, and then you have the balance CF, carried forward accounts receivable. Ini ialah baki akhir untuk your accounts receivable. Given here 110,000. Okay, so if I were to use the percentage on accounts receivable, that means percentage tu madam akan darab dengan 110,000 ni. Okay, so this is the amount that you need to cari, okay, to find. Okay, so if this amount is not given in the question, let's say the balance CF for the accounts receivable is not given in the question, you kena buat apa? Kena cari dulu. That means you need to have your ledger and you need to calculate the balance CF, then only you can come out with the calculations for the uncollectible debts. Okay, so this is a tricky part lah. Okay, sebab kalau kita guna write-off method, it's very direct. Okay, once you get the amount in the question, kita boleh terus transfer masuk dalam journal. Okay, for this topic, okay, cara untuk jawapan dia adalah dalam bentuk general journal. So you don't need to prepare like hanky-panky things lah. Tak ada benda-benda yang complicated sangat. It's just that the answer will be given in a form of general journal. Cuma yang kita kena cari ialah nilai yang perlu kita debitkan dan kreditkan tersebut. Okay, alright. So now in this question dia dah bagi dah. So this question dia dah inform you dekat bawah ni. The estimated uncollectible debts is 1% of your accounts receivable. Okay, so kalau madam nak cari, okay, if I'm using the allowance method, using the percentage of accounts receivable, so the item that I need to find ialah satu, apa method yang saya akan guna. Okay, so nak tahu apa method yang saya akan guna, I look through the question and look for clues. Okay, so this is the clue given. Alright, yang ini to inform you, the method is allowance method. Okay, okay, that is one. So now kita nak tengok percentage dia upon apa? Kita nak kira based on what? Okay, so given here, the question is the percentage is upon your accounts receivable. So bila dia kata percentage based on your accounts receivable, the second thing I need to find is the last balance, baki akhir untuk account receivable. Okay, so the method is 2. Second one, madam needs to find the last balance for your AR. Okay, yang tu yang kedua. Okay, the third one, I need to find the percentage to calculate with the carry forward balance of account receivable. Okay, so in this question here, dia bagi percentage ialah 1%. Okay, so these three items I kena cari before I can proceed with the calculations. Okay, so sebenarnya apa yang kita nak cari? Kita nak cari allowance for doubtful debts. Sebab bila saya nak catat written off, I need to debit allowance for doubtful debts and I need to credit my accounts receivable. So in example 3, saya tahu saya akan catat journal macam ni, right? The only problem here is I don't know how much I need to debit or credit in the journal. So yang tu yang kita nak kira. Okay, alright. So once you have the information, you already have number 1, number 2, and also number 3. Okay, we're gonna look here. Alright, the percentage of provision ataupun peratusan yang dia bagi tadi, you need to multiply with your last balance of accounts receivable. So in this question is 1% times 110,000. Okay, nilai yang awak dapat tu hasil daripada calculation ni okay, will bring you to the balance CF of your allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, alright. So, kalau awak kira dekat sini, 1% times 110,000, okay, will be 1,100. Okay, so this 1,100, I will have to do the journal entry. Okay, alright. So sekarang ni, I am not writing off the bad debts ya. Okay, writing off the bad debts, kita tahu berapa nilai. Tapi since this is a journal entry, actually what you are doing is the adjusting entries for bad debts expense. Okay, alright. So kita dah dapat 1,100 ni. 1,100 ni is actually what? 1,100 ni is actually the balance CF of your allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, alright. So you need to do the adjustment in order to find the bad debts expense. Okay, alright. So how do we do the adjustments? Okay, the only workings that kita akan guna, cara kerja yang kita akan guna adalah dengan buat account T. Alright, so you need to find your bad debt expense inside the calculations in your ledger. Okay, so kita akan build up an account T. Okay, T account for the matter. Alright, okay, so tadi kamu dah ada balance brought forward. Okay, balance awal untuk doubtful debts. Okay, so this is allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so your baki awal will be on your credit side. Okay, but this is your liability ya. Right, so here you get the amount. Okay, so this is from your question here. Sekejap ya. Okay, so balance brought forward is 500. Okay, Madam ambil daripada soalan from here. This 500 is taken from here. So balance brought forward for your ledger is balance BF 500 ringgit. Okay, okay, tadi you calculated 1% from 110,000. Okay, and nilai yang you dapat 1,100 ni is actually what? Yang kita dapat ni is actually balance akhir. So since your balance brought forward is on the credit side, that means your last balance atau ending balance will be on your debit side. Okay, so here nilai dia ialah 1,100. Okay, alright. Okay, so as you can see, sebab account ini berbaki kredit. Okay, so what you need to do now, you need to close the account. Okay, so kalau awak tengok tak ada lagi apa-apa transaction yang kita akan masukkan ke dalam ledger. Okay, so on the debit side we have 1,100, on the credit side we have 500 ringgit. Okay, so jumlah dia yang paling besar ialah 1,100, right? Okay, so total di bawah ni will be 1,100. Okay, so on the credit side is also will be 1,100. Okay, kalau you tengok actually tak balance kan, sebab on the debit side is 1,100. Okay, but on the credit side it's only 500 ringgit. So you have apa sebenarnya? You have an amount that is missing, which is 600 ringgit. So apa dia 600 ringgit ni? 600 ringgit ni is actually bad debt expense. Okay, so sebenarnya bila saya buka ledger ni, what is actually I'm doing, I am supposed to find this amount. Yang ni madam nak cari ni, sebab I need this amount to do the journal entry. Okay, tapi bila saya guna percentage upon accounts receivable, bila saya kira, madam dapat yang ini, balance CF. So I am using the balance CF and the balance brought forward given in the question in order to find the bad debt expense, which is the missing amount. So kita nak cari nilai bad debt expense, kita kena buka ledger. Okay, so you masukkan balance brought forward in your credit side, on your credit side. Okay, and balance CF ni yang awak kira dekat atas ni tadi, you akan bawa ke sini. Okay, and the next thing you're going to use, you're going to do is balance up your ledger. So the total amount is 1,100, 1,100. Kenapa 1,100? Kita akan ambil the biggest figure lah. Okay, so the biggest figure is 1,100. And you can see, kalau awak tengok, amount sebelah kredit kurang. Tak sampai pun 1,100. That means there is one hidden figure there. The missing figure that you are supposed to find. Okay, so bila nilai tu berada di sebelah kredit, okay, it's actually your bad debt expense. Okay, so how much is your bad debt expense here? Bad debt expense tu is actually 1,100 minus 500 ringgit. So you'll get the amount of 600 ringgit. So bila saya nak buat journal nanti untuk adjustment, okay, this is the amount that I will record in my journal entry. Okay. Alright, so we look at the journal entry. Okay, dalam journal entry ni, what am I doing actually? Okay, the date is on the 31st of December as well. Okay, so di sini, Madam akan debit bad debt expense and Madam akan credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so nilai yang saya akan catat di sini ialah 600. Okay, kenapa saya tak debit allowance for doubtful debts, credit accounts receivable? Sebab sekarang ni, I am not actually writing off any debts. Okay, saya bukan buang apa-apa hutang yang tak boleh dibayar. That one is already done earlier. Yang sekarang yang Madam sedang buat now is actually recording the adjustment for bad debts. Okay, so that means untuk allowance method, you akan buat dua benda. Satu is to write off any bad debts yang tak mampu dikutip daripada debtors so that your accounts receivable nanti akan tinggal baki yang terkini. Okay, and baki yang terkini tersebut, that is your last balance of your accounts receivable, will be used for the calculations of the portion here. That is bad debt expense. Kenapa I perlu ada catatan ini? Because I am closing my account for the year. Okay, so on the 31st of December, okay, this will be my adjustment entry for bad debt expense. So dari mana Madam dapat 600 ni? I get this amount from the adjusting of my allowance for doubtful debts ledger here. Okay, so jalan kerja untuk dapatkan 600 ni is from your ledger just now. Okay, alright, ada apa-apa nak tanya?
Tak ada, Madam.
Tak ada, faham? Ya ke? Okay.
Maksudnya
Sekejap
Madam,
lagi. Ya,
maksudnya kita kena buat
dua journal.
dua journal lah maksudnya Madam.
Yes, if it's for allowance method, saya ada dua journal. Okay, kalau saya guna direct write-off method, I hanya ada buat satu benda saja, which is, ada orang tak boleh bayar hutang, saya akan write off. Lepas tu habis, tak ada apa-apa berlaku dah. Okay.
Kita buat accounting tu dululah maksudnya Madam.
Accounting tu when you are using allowance method, sebab saya nak kena cari the bad debt expense. Okay, sebab bad debt expense we will not be given in the question. Dalam soalan dia takkan bagi. Tapi saya perlukan nilai tersebut so that I can journalize the entry. Okay, so nombor tu kita kena cari. So the only way you are supposed to calculate the amount is by using your ledger lah. So kita akan sediakan satu ledger which is your allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so ledger allowance for doubtful debts is actually a liability. Sebab tu kalau awak nampak tadi, the beginning balance is on the credit side. Okay, and the last balance atau the ending balance is on the debit side. Okay, so jadi nombor yang hilang tu memang bad debt expense. Yes, kalau nombor yang hilang tu berada di sebelah kredit, itu ialah bad debt expense. Okay, tapi kalau nombor yang hilang tu berada di sebelah debit, yang itu bukan bad debt expense, yang itu something else. Okay, yang tu kita tengok example 4. Alright, boleh ke? Okay tak okay?
InsyaAllah.
Okey,
Boleh.
InsyaAllah. Okay, kita tengok example 4. Alright, nanti bila kita buat comprehensive question, you get more understanding. Okay, so example 4 ni pun sama. I'm using allowance method. Okay, sebab dekat sini dia dah bagi balance. So this is a clue lah. So I am not using direct write-off method. I am using allowance method. Okay, baki awal dah bagi. That is 1,500. Okay, and then dia dah bagi kamu baki akhir for your accounts receivable. That means this is the latest baki selepas kita buang apa-apa hutang yang tak mampu dibayar oleh orang yang memang dah confirm tadilah. Contoh macam Lester tadi tu. Once you already deducted the amount from the accounts receivable, this will be your CF balance. Okay, alright. So kita nak buat calculations for the allowance method. We are supposed to find the bad debt expense. So how do I go about it? Okay, saya nak kena tengok percentage dalam soalan. So percentage kat sini masih 1%. So this 1% is taken from account receivable. Okay, so kita bukan guna net credit sales ya. Kita masih guna accounts receivable. So accounts receivable here is actually referring to your baki akhir lah. Okay, ending balance. Okay, so 1% from 110,000 is 1,100. Nilai sama macam example 3. Okay, what are the difference? Okay, kita tengok ledger dulu sebab saya nak cari bad debt expense. Okay, the first thing that I need to do is find the beginning balance. Okay, in the question, beginning balance ialah 1,500. Okay, so madam akan masukkan dekat sebelah debit. Okay, baki awal 1,500. Okay, balance brought forward. That is 1,500. Okay, tadi I dah calculated this 1% from my accounts receivable. Okay, so the amount here is 1,100. So this is my balance CF. Balance CF, madam dah cakap tadi, will be on your debit side of your allowance of the food debts ledger. Okay, so dekat sini saya akan masukkan nilai. Oh, sorry. Lama. Kejap. Hold on. Okay. So di sini tadi kita dah ada beginning balance 1,500. Okay. And then you have your last balance. Okay. Your last balance from your calculation just now is 1,100. Okay. Okay, kita dah tengok maklumat semua. Semua saya dah isi. Betul? Okay, so my beginning balance is 1,500 and my last balance is 1,100. Madam cakap tadi, if you are closing the ledger, okay, amount yang kita akan follow is the biggest amount, right? So kalau you tengok dekat sini, the biggest amount here is 1,500. Okay, so total dekat sini akan follow that amount lah. So amount here will be 1,500 and this amount here will also be 1,500. Okay, tapi in example 3, kalau you tengok the missing item ataupun the missing amount is on the credit side dekat sebelah sini. Betul kan? Okay, tapi example 4, kalau you tengok betul-betul, okay, 1,500 sudah memang cukup dah untuk the credit side. Okay, the missing item is actually 400, which is on the debit side. Okay, kalau dekat sebelah credit, that will be your bad debt expense. Okay, so bad debt expense tu dia akan increase your allowance for the food debts. Tapi sekarang ni nilai tu kurang. So that won't be any more expenses lah. Okay, dia akan jadi decrease in allowance for doubtful debts. Pengurangan kepada peruntukan hutang ragu, which is 400. So tadi kalau awak tengok saya buat journal, early part of the question, okay, question 3, you find the amount on your credit side. So nilai itu ialah 600 kan? So madam akan debit bad debt expense, madam akan credit allowance for doubtful debts. So that means allowance for doubtful debt saya akan bertambah RM600. Okay, in this case, in example 4, instead of getting bad debt expense di sebelah kredit, kita dapat decrease, pengurangan in AFDD on the debit side, which is RM400. So bila saya nak buat the adjusting entries, saya tak boleh debit bad debt expense. Sebab kalau saya debit, nanti AFDD saya akan tambah. Now saya kena kurangkan saya punya AFDD. So AFDD you tahu is liability. Kalau dia bertambah, is on the credit side. But now you want to decrease the amount. So sekarang ni nilai yang saya akan debit, okay, will be my allowance for doubtful debts. Terbalik lah. Sebab tadi I nak tambah nilai pada allowance for my doubtful debts. That's why I credit allowance for doubtful debt with the amount of RM600. Okay, but in this case here, berlaku pengurangan. That means you berjaya lah kutip banyak hutang. So bila berjaya kutip banyak hutang tu, so the allocation amount that you already allocated from the beginning of the year dah berkurang. Jadi kita akan tarik balik nilai tu, masuk balik ke dalam kita punya profit. Okay, so tadi you debit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, nak credit apa? Saya tak boleh credit bad debt expense sebab bad debt expense is an expenses account. Okay, account belanja. Kita tak pernah debit account belanja. So apa yang kita, kita tak pernah credit account belanja. So apa yang kita akan creditkan here, it will be decrease in allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so the amount here is RM400. So what are we doing here? Okay, kalau example 3 tadi, you record adjustment. Maksudnya awak dah asingkan satu nilai dalam allowance for doubtful debts tapi tak cukup. So you tambah lagi 600. But in example 4, the item has decreased. So saya kena tarik balik 400 tu, masuk balik. So that money will be allocated back to your net profit. Okay, so here I will debit my allowance for doubtful debts and I will credit decrease in allowance for doubtful debts. Maksudnya the allocation in my AFDD tadi ada satu jumlah tapi kita dah minus 400. Okay, maksudnya at that particular year you berjaya kutip banyak hutang lah. So you need to decrease the allocations for AFDD. Okay, alright. So kalau saya dapati nilai tu kurang on the credit side of your allowance for doubtful debt ledger, kalau dia berada di sini di sebelah credit here. Okay, if it's here, kalau nilai tu di sini yang kuning ni, that means nilai yang you dapat tu is actually bad debt expense. Okay, tapi kalau nilai tu berada di sebelah debit, okay, yang madam warnakan hijau ni, okay, so kalau dia berada di sebelah debit, it will be decrease in allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so bila kita catat dalam journal, the journal entry will be slightly different lah, because masa you dapat bad debt expense, kita akan credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, tapi since in example 4 kita dapat decrease in allowance for doubtful debts, so your journal entry, instead of crediting your allowance for doubtful debts, kita akan debit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, alright, ada apa-apa nak tanya? Ada apa-apa nak tanya tak? Yes.
Is decrease in AFDD revenue?
Yes, it's revenue.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, bad debt expense is expenses lah. Dia mengurangkan net profit kan. If decrease in AFDD is revenue, is actually a reverted amount back into your net profit. Okay, boleh? Okay, so that is example 3 and example 4. Okay, so tadi kita buat allowance method using percentage from your accounts receivable. So bila kita guna accounts receivable, percentage tu when you multiply dengan your last balance atau your ending balance from your accounts receivable, kita tak terus direct dapat jawapan. Instead of kita dapat baki akhir untuk allowance for doubtful debt. So I still tak boleh catat journal terus. Saya ada buat satu lagi kerja. Apa kerja dia? I need to prepare my allowance for doubtful debts ledger. Ini sebab apa? Sebab tadi masa madam kira, madam dapat ni. So bila nak buat journal, kita tak guna balance CF ni. Kita kena cari sama ada bad debt expense atau decrease in FDD, baru awak boleh buat journal. Okay? Alright, now we have another way of calculating the bad debt expense. Okay, so just now you use percentage based on your last balance ataupun ending balance of your accounts receivable. Okay, dekat B ni kita akan tengok percentage on net credit sales. Okay, net credit sales, that means all your credit sales you dah clear lah, net lah. Net means dah tolak semua if there is sales discount ataupun sales return and everything. Okay, alright, so kita tengok example given. Okay, so dekat sini dia bagi kamu baki awal, allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so that means this is a clue that I will be using allowance method. Okay, so the balance given here is 500 ringgit. Okay, dia dah mention dekat sini credit sales. Okay, dia just mention credit sales, that means this is not net yet. Belum lagi dapat net bersih. Okay, so nilai dia bagi dekat situ is 23,000. Okay, alright, and then as you can see here, you are also given the sales discount. Alright, so sales discount tu mengurangkan sales. So your credit sales is no longer, your net credit sales is not 23,000 lah. Sebab kita nak cari net credit sales, that means kita akan deduct the sales discount given. Okay, alright. So dekat bawah ni dia bagi awak additional information. Okay, the estimation for the uncollectible is 2% from your net credit sales. Okay, so the first thing that I need to find, kena cari dulu net credit sales. Dah dapat net credit sales, madam akan darab dengan 2%. Okay, so just now dalam AR tadi, the first thing that you need to find is your ending balance for AR. Lepas tu you akan cari percentage. Okay, and then you'll calculate based on the percentage given. The item you dapat ialah balance CF for your EFDD. So tak siap lagi kan soalan tu? Kena buka satu ledger, which is your allowance for doubtful debts ledger, to find the bad debt expense. Okay, so cara dia panjang sikit lah. Dia guna jalan jauh. Okay, tapi kalau kita guna net credit sales, you take the provision given, the percentage given in the question. So in here, the percentage given is 2%. Okay, and the net credit sale is actually 23,000 minus 3,000 ringgit. Okay, bila kamu darab ni, terus dapat bad debt expense. So meaning here, kalau saya nak terus buat adjusting entries for my bad debt expense, saya dah tak perlu cari apa-apa nilai kemudian. Because the calculations done here already lead you to bad debt expense. Terus dapat bad debt expense. So nilai tu boleh terus masuk dalam journal. Tak perlu buat ledger. Okay, yang tadi kenapa buat ledger? Sebab tadi saya guna baki akhir AR. So bila I darab percentage tu dengan baki akhir AR, madam tak dapat bad debt expense lagi. Yang madam dapat is ending balance for allowance for doubtful debts. So I kena buka ledger to find the bad debt expense. But here, direct after the calculations, I will get the amount, which is my bad debt expense. Okay, alright. So dekat sini, you have that 2%. Okay, you multiply with 20,000 here. That 20,000 is actually from 23,000 minus 3,000 ringgit. So this is your net credit sales. So from the calculations, madam terus dapat 400. Okay, so kalau guna cara tadi, saya tak siap lagi ya. I still have a long way to go. Tapi if I'm using the net credit sale, percentage based on the net credit sales, this 400 is actually my bad debt expense. So perlu buka apa-apa ledger tak? No need. Tak perlu buat apa-apa dah. Okay, apa yang saya akan buat seterusnya ialah, terus buat journal entry. Okay, so you write the date for your journal entry. to do the adjusting for bad debt expense. So cara catat sama, debit bad debt expense, credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so maksudnya bila kita buat adjustments untuk bad debt expense, catatan kekal sama. Okay, cuma yang jadi susah tu is how you find the amount to be recorded. Okay, macam tadi 600 tu, madam kena buka sampai ledger. Then only I get the amount. Okay, tapi for net credit sales, direct after the calculations, madam terus dapat nilai bad debt expense. So that 400 ringgit is actually will be my bad debt expense in the journal entry. So direct terus. Sebab bila kita kira tu memang kita terus dapat bad debt expense. So terus masuk dalam journal. So you don't need to prepare any ledgers. Okay? Alright, ada apa-apa nak tanya? Tak ada?
No,
Ada, madam.
Tak ada. Okay. So kamu tengok soalan tutorial nombor 5. You have your tutorial question with you kan? Nombor 5. Okay, this is your tutorial question, number 5. Okay, alright. Atlas Company uses the direct write-off method. Okay, awak tengok dalam soalan tu dia mention direct write-off method. Okay, so maknanya kita bukan guna allowance method. We are using direct write-off method to account for its uncollectible accounts. Okay, so dalam 2011, credit sales were reported as 130,000. Okay, on this particular date, March 7, 2012. Okay, you tengok betul-betul. Ini ialah credit sale 2011. Okay, dalam 2011 dia bagi you satu information saja, iaitu credit sales. Lepas tu tak ada apa-apa information dah. Alright, okay, next year around, on March 7, 2012, a customer owing, okay, maknanya seorang pelanggan yang berhutang dengan you with the amount of 1,600 was declared bankrupt. Declare bankrupt lah tu. Okay. So sekarang ni dia suruh kamu catat, okay, prepare journal entries relating to uncollectible amounts for both years. So kita nak catat untuk 2011 and kita pun nak catat untuk 2012. Okay, so what method am I using? Syazwan, madam guna method apa? Syazwan Aizat?
Direct write-off.
Direct write-off. Okay. So sekarang ni kalau catat direct write-off tu, apa journal dia? Syazwan, apa journal dia? Debit apa, kredit apa? Syazwan dah tenggelam di lautan sepi pula.
Kredit dia.
Debit lah dulu.
Debit dia yang apa tu tadi, bad debt kah? Bad debt debit.
Apa bad debt? Debit apa? Cuba tengok nota. Debit apa?
Bad debt.
Debit bad debts. Expense, credit.
Kredit. Account receivable.
Yes, carry account receivable. Okay, thank you Syazwan. Okay, so sekarang saya nak buat untuk 2011, saya nak buat untuk 2012. Okay, madam bagi you 2 minit. Buat journal untuk 2011 dan buat journal untuk 2012. Saya nak tengok ada orang faham ke tak. Okay, sebab tadi I tanya you kata faham kan? Okay, so buat journal untuk 2011, buat journal untuk 2012. Okay, alright. Okay, so madam bagi whiteboard ni. Okay, so nanti saya suruh jawab, awak tulis dekat whiteboard tu. So everybody can see. Okay alright. So saya nak buat untuk 2011. Yang ini saya nak buat untuk 2012. So I have 2 journals lah. Kan? Soalan minta 2 kan? Alright. Okay. Zaid? Zaid, you here? Nampak tak whiteboard ni dekat screen kamu?
Nampak.
Nampak kan? So you ada nampak dekat atas tu ada draw. Awak bolehlah tekan tu, tulis dengan jari pun dia keluar nanti. Okay. Aizat pula. Zaid Syahmi, are you there? Zaid? Zaid ada? Mana si Zaid ni? On Zoom terus tidur. Zaid, are you there? Ada ni? Zaid Syahmi. Zaid? Zaid? Suhaila tak nampak screen? Screen kosong. Memang tak ada apa-apa. Tapi ada whiteboard. Suhaila, memang nampak whiteboard je. Nampak tak 2011, 2012 ni Suhaila? Belum buat apa-apa lagi. Awak yang tulis, bukan saya. Okay Okay, Zaid Syahmi. Gelap je madam. Kalau gelap that means your line lah. Bukan saya. Saya okey je. Okay, Zaid. La ilaha illallah. Si Zaid ni. Zaid tak nak menyaut Zaid. Mana si Zaid ni? Okay, tak apa. Syarul Faizin, you there? Syarul? Syarul, pergi makan nasi ke? Hei, kantoi lah korang ni. Okay Okay, Nurul Hamila. Nurul Hamila ada tak? Nurul Hamila, you there? Ada kan? Nurul? Screen saya putih jap madam. Ya Syarul, screen tu memang putih. Sebab jawapan tu nanti you yang nak tulis. Madam nak minta you tulis lah ni. Okay Syarul, tolong tulis journal untuk 2011 dan 2012. Boleh tak? Ada nampak kan? Saya buat ni 2011. Yang ni 2012. Okay. Okay, so I put a divider here. Alright. Ni macam buat kita ke dalam kelas lah. Okay, so Syarul, I need you to do the journal entry for 2011. Okay, tulis kat sini Syarul. Come. Apa catatan entry? Apa dia journal entries to uncollectible accounts for 2011? Okay, Hamila ada tak? Nurul Hamila. Oh, kita. Hamila ada tak?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Hamila buat untuk 2012.
Okay, madam.
Okay, alright. Just write there. Syarul, where are you?
Tapi madam, macam mana tu madam mau dapat DP yang macam madam tu? DP pen tu.
Dekat atas tu nampak tak? Ada draw.
Satu.
Kan ada whiteboard kan? Dia keluar pensel. Cuba awak letak jari awak dekat skrin. Boleh tulis tak?
Dah dapat. Sekejap.
Boleh. Right here. Harmila, here. Tulis. Debit apa, credit apa? Okay, you bagi tahu lah madam tulis. Hamila. 2012.
Okay, madam. Debit.
Debit.
Debit bad debt expense.
Okay, debit bad debts expense. How much?
1,600.
Okay, 1,600. Okay, so what account will I credit?
Account receivable.
Okay, Madam akan credit accounts
Receivable.
receivable. Nilai? Sama?
1,600.
Okay, ada nama subsidiary ke?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, it's not given in the question. Tapi kalau ada, kita akan tag lah. Alright?
Yeah.
Okay, this is for 2012. Okay, what actually you are doing here? To?
Recording bad debts expense.
No.
Or recording the write-off of
Okay,
the
to write
bad
off.
debts.
Okay, to
The
write off
write-off.
of bad debts. Okay, so ayat dia macam mana pun tak apalah, janji memang dia menerangkan what we are doing. We are actually writing off hutang lah. Okay, kita buang hutang ni daripada hutang yang kita adalah. That means this amount cannot be collected. Alright, okay, so this is for 2012. Okay, alright, Syarul, 2013? 2013 pula. 2011? Apa jawapan dia? Syarul Faizin. Hilang sudah anakku ini. Cakap je Syarul, I'll write for you. Is there anything to record on 2011? Ada apa-apa nak catat tak 2011? Cuba tengok balik soalan. Ada? Nabila kata ada. Betul ke Nabila? So apa saya nak catat Nabila? Okay, Nabila nak tolong Syarul. Omit explanation. Okay, fine. Saya faham. Soalan tu kata omit explanation. Tapi I just tulis lah so that you know what I'm doing. Thank you Afif. Amboi Afif ni. Kalau nak kurang kerja tu laju je. Okay. Alright. Fahira kata macam tidak. Okay. Tim, macam ada ke macam tak ada? Catatan on 2011. Ada ke tak ada?
Macam tiada ni.
Macam so macam sajalah. Okay. Kalau you baca balik question, okay, you read the question again. Okay. Saya share balik question tadi. Okay, kalau you baca balik soalan, you nampak dekat sini dia bagi tahu dalam 2011 dia hanya bagi tahu anda, okay, the only information that you get from 2011 ialah maklumat tentang credit sales. Betul tak? Betul kan? Okay. So ada tak dia bagi tahu apa-apa berlaku dalam 2011? Did the question ask you, did the question mention anything happen on 2011? Ada bagi tahu apa-apa tak?
Madam.
Tak ada kan? Tak ada. So, bila soalan required to prepare journal entries to uncollectible accounts, dia minta spesifik mention here uncollectible accounts. Ada tak hutang yang tak dapat dikutip on 2011? So, as you can see here, memang tak ada kan? So, that means untuk 2011, Madam tak ada apa-apa journal. Because on that particular year, tak ada apa-apa jadi. Kalau tak ada apa-apa jadi, janganlah bagi dia jadi. Okay? So, the only kejadian that we have here is on 2012. Okay? So, 2012, the question told you that a customer that owes 1,600 to the company was declared bankrupt. So, dia tak cakap dia tak boleh bayar hutang. Dia just bagi tahu declared bankrupt. And kita tahu bad debt expense happen. One of the reason is because of bankruptcy. So, bila dia dah bankrupt, dah sasar, dia tak boleh bayar balik. So, the only journal that I have is for the year 2000 and 2012. Okay. So, macam mana nak jawab soalan 1? So, soalan 1, no entry is made since the uncollectible is recognized. Recognize apa tu? When the receivable actually become worthless. So, maksudnya kalau awak nampak dekat sini, Tak ada apa-apa berlaku kan 2011. So there won't be any journals on 2011. Okay. Ya Allah, siapa yang naik motor tu? Si Syafina ni. Okay. Alright, so sekarang untuk 2012 saja yang ada. So jawapan yang Hamila bagi tadi betul lah. Alright. So we have bad debt expense, debit bad debt expense, and credit accounts receivable. The amount here is 1,600. Okay, so apa yang kita buat dekat sini? Satu, kita write off bad debts. Okay, ada beza ya. When you write off bad debts, maksudnya yang ini memang confirm nilai yang tak dapat dikutip. So that amount is actually deducted from your accounts receivable. Okay, that is one. Yang kedua, you tengok dekat atas ni, tak ada apa-apa maklumat relating ataupun leads you to allowance for doubtful debts. Tak ada mention apa-apa pun kan? So bila kita tak nampak apa-apa information regarding your allowance for doubtful debt, that means untuk question 5, we are not supposed to use allowance method. The only method that we are going to use is direct write-off. Okay, so kalau untuk direct write-off, ada satu benda saja you akan buat, which is writing off bad debts. Maksudnya kita akan buang saja apa-apa hutang yang tak dapat di collect, okay, uncollected amount. Alright, so here you only have catatan for 2012. Okay, so here dia kata March 7, 2012 kan? So ada tarikh tak kat sini? Ada tarikh tak dekat sini? Okay, what will be the tarikh? Hello? Bilakah tarikh dalam jurnal ni?
31st December.
31st December, yes. Okay, tarikh masih kekal 31st December. Sebab at this point here, tak ada pergerakan wang berlaku kan? So there is no document source for you to record. Tapi towards the end of the accounting period, kita memang realise this particular person are not able to pay you the amount. So that amount will be written off from your bad debt. So this amount will be deducted from your accounts receivable during the adjusting date. Okay, so catatan dia ada satu saja, which is bad debt expense 1,600 and credit accounts receivable 1,600. Okay, yang ini kalau ada nama tuan dia, so let's say ada nama debtors, okay, your accounts receivable tu you please mention siapa. Okay, so in this question tak ada, so we leave it as it is lah. Tapi kalau nanti dalam soalan-soalan lain you jumpa nama debtors, please make sure the answer given is provided. Alright, okay, kita tengok question 6. Okay, this is also your tutorial question. Okay, December 31st, 2011. Okay, trial balance of the mark company before adjustment included the following accounts. Okay, so dalam soalan tu dia bagi kamu keratan, okay, excerpt of your trial balance. Okay, so dalam trial balance tu dia bagi awak tiga laja. Okay, one is allowance for doubtful debts, the second one is sales, the third one is sales returns and allowances. Okay, so kita tahu yang kita nak catat ni is regards to your accounts receivable. So sekarang ni apa agak-agaknya method yang madam akan guna? Is it allowance method ataupun direct write-off method? Which method am I going to use? Sorry? Kita guna apa?
Allowance method.
Allowance.
Boy, marah ke? Okay, allowance method. Kenapa? Macam mana awak tahu dia allowance method? Sebab ada clue bagi kat sini kan? Yes, you already see in the question, the allowance of doubtful debts tu wujud. So you nampak saja side of this, maksudnya account tu dah ada dalam your trial balance. So bila saya nak buat adjustment for bad debts, I will use allowance method. Okay, alright. So kita tengok dekat bawah tu, there's another clue given here. Dia kata Mark ni nama orang Okay, Mark estimates its bad debts based upon 2% of net sales. Okay, Alright. So what amount should Mark record as bad debt expense? Okay, so sekarang ni kita nak buat adjustment. Kita nak buat adjustment Kita nak buat adjusting entries. Maksudnya saya bukan buat write off ya. Saya bukan buat write off hutang. Saya buat adjusting entry using allowance method. Okay, so what I need to find is 1. Tengok berapa persen allocation diberi, and secondly I nak tengok percentage tu allocated to what. So dekat sini kita guna net sales. Okay, alright, so how much is your net sales, Mirsad? Net sales berapa? Mirsad? Mirsad Alaidin. Net sales berapa, Mirsad? Mirsad hilang dah. Mirsad? Ada. Okey, berapa Mirsad? Mirsad bagi 8,400. Net sales. Awak kira macam mana ni? 840,000? Serius lah. Net. Kau ni kenyang sangat makan nasi tadi kot. Berapa kali dah Mirsad ni. Net sales. Thank you Haikal. Okay, so berapa Mirsad? How much? Lama Mirsad. Mirsad tolak dengan sempuang ke? Tak ada kalkulator? Tolak 10 je tu. How much? 8200. Betul lah tu. Okay, so 820,000. Okay, thank you Mirsad. Okay, so the net sale is 820,000. Okay, so percentage of net sales given in the question is 2%. Okay, so berapa bad debt expense dia? How much is the bad debt expense? Kejap, saya cari pelajar favourite saya. Afif Rizky ni rajin pula. Okay, thank you Afif. Afif dah kira dah. Dia ambil 2%. Okay, multiply by 820,000. It's okay Afif. It's good. Good try. Okay, so Afif terus kira dan terus dapat bad debt expense. Betul tak? Sebab sekarang ni kita guna percentage upon net sales. So bila you kira, automatically nilai yang awak dapat tu is bad debt expense. Okay, so your bad debt expense is 16,400 ringgit. Okay, so kalau saya nak catat journal, apa yang saya akan debit, apa yang saya akan kredit. Kalau saya nak catat adjusting entries for my bad debt expense, so what will be my journal entry? Michelle, what will be my journal entry? Berapa Michelle? Michelle.
Ya, madam.
Berapa? Apa journal entry dia? Debit apa, kredit apa? Cepat.
Debit.
Debit. Debit. Debit.
Soalan madam tadi.
Soalan sama lah ni, soalan ni. So sekarang saya dah kira, tadi Afif dah kira kita punya bad debt expense. So saya nak buat journal sekarang. Saya nak buat journal adjustment for my bad debt. So apa journal yang saya akan catat? Debit apa, kredit apa?
Debit bad debt expense.
Okay. Kredit.
Sekejap madam.
Tu, Misat ada bagi tahu tu. Kredit.
Credit accounts receivable.
Tak. Sebab sekarang ni saya bukan nak buang apa-apa hutang yang tak boleh dibayar. I am just doing the adjusting entries for my bad debts. Saya adjust balik nilai bad debts di allowance for doubtful debts. Okay? So, madam nak kredit apa?
allowance for doubtful debts.
Okay, thank you Michelle. Thank you Miss Hart. Okay, so kalau kita nak buat adjusting entries, your entry will be debit, bad debt expense, okay, and credit, allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, the amount here will be 16,400 ringgit. Okay, yang ni clear? Boleh? Okay. Alright, we go back to the notes just now. Madam AFDD berbaki kredit kan? Yes. Betul? CG? Dia berbaki kredit. Okay. Alright, so tadi you dah record journal entry. Kenapa soalan AFDD di debit? Apa maksudnya tu?
Madam, tengok yang tadi balik boleh?
Tengok yang tadi balik. Oh, okay, kejap. Wait ah. You mean this one? Tengok yang ni. CG, you tanya apa tadi? Soalan 6. Okay, kenapa soalan 6 CG? Why? Amount AFDD. Aha. Oh, you mean baki awal ni? Yang ni ya? Allowance for doubtful debts ni. Kan? Yeah. Okay. CG cuba tengok. Yang ni. Oh yes. It's supposed to be on the credit side, right? Sebab that's the last balance, is it? Is it? Betul lah? Okay, okay. Thank you. Nanti saya betulkan balik. Alright. Thank you CG. Dah kah? Can I proceed with the notes?
Yes, madam.
Okay, dah eh? Okay, kita sambung. Alright, so tadi kita dah catat adjusting entries using both methods, the allowance method and also the write-off methods. Okay? Okay, so sekarang sekejap ya. Okay, so sekarang kita nak recover bad debts. Okay, apa maksud recover bad debts? Apa maksud recover bad debts? Halo? Apa maksud recover bad debts?
Balik.
Hutang terpulih.
Hutang dapat dipungut, madam.
Dia dah kena tolak tadi kan? Okay. Tiba-tiba dia hidup balik macam tu kan? Betul ah? Okay.
Macam tu.
Alright.
Tiga
So ni
semula, madam.
ya, so betul lah Nisrina bagi tahu ni tadi. Ramai yang jawab betul ni. Fahira pun jawab betul, dia nak bayar balik. Nisrina kata debtor tu datang balik untuk selesaikan debts. Okay. CG pun betul, hutang lapuk terpulih. Alright. Tiffany pun betul, orang yang sebelumnya tak dapat bayar kini boleh bayar balik. Ya Allah, kenapa you all suka guna ayat panjang-panjang? Okay. Alright. So sekarang dia insaf. Okay, Afdal dia insaf. Dia takut mati nanti mata dia tak tutup. Okay, so sekarang dia nak bayar balik hutang. Okay, so just now, masa you write off dia, you already deducted that particular person from your accounts receivable. So that means orang tu dah tak ada dalam subsidiary kamu, betul? Okay, so bila dia boleh bayar balik hutang tu, in order to receive the money from that particular person, you kena hidupkan dia dulu tau. Kena hidupkan dia seolah-olah macam dia baru saja beli barang tu daripada you lah. Okay, tapi you nak hidupkan dia balik, you kena tanya dulu how much the amount that he is willing to pay. Okay, kalau sebelum ni katakan dia hutang 10,000, tapi tiba-tiba dia datang, dia dah bankrupt, lepas tu dia datang balik, dia nak bayar hutang dekat you. Okay, not necessarily dia akan bayar the full amount. Kadang-kadang dia cuma nak bayar 1,000 je. Okay, so bila kita nak hidupkan dia balik, in order to receive the cash from that particular person, kita akan hidupkan balik the account receivable prior to the amount yang dia nak bayar saja. Okay, so ada dua cara catatan yang berbeza lah, depending on the method you are using. Okay, alright. So saya tunjuk write off dulu. Okay, write off ni maksudnya tadi, madam debit, bad debt expense, credit, account receivable. So orang tu mati. It's no longer in your accounts receivable. Okay, alright. So one day dia datang nak bayar balik hutang. So let's say dia nak bayar 200 je. So I akan debit account receivable with his name, okay, because previously his name was already deleted from the system. Tak ada dah dalam sistem nama dia XX ni. Tapi since dia datang balik, so dia kena wujud dulu dalam subsidiary, baru madam boleh terima duit daripada dia. So what I have to do is, I have to reinstate the amount lah. Okay, so madam akan wujudkan balik the account receivable under that particular person's name. Tapi jumlah yang saya akan tulis di sini bukan jumlah hutang yang dia nak, jumlah hutang yang dulu ya, tapi setakat mana yang he is willing to pay at the moment. Kalau dia hutang you 1 juta pun, you tak boleh debit dekat sini 1 juta. You need to ask that particular person how much he is willing to pay. Kalau dia nak bayar 1,000 je, so I akan hidupkan dia balik on this account receivable with the amount only 1,000. Okay, and madam akan credit. Saya tak boleh credit sales ya, sebab sales tu dah berlaku lama dah. Selalunya bila orang tu berhutang dengan kita sebab dia beli secara kredit kan, so kita akan credit sales. At that point you are actually selling them on credit terms. Tapi sekarang ni sales tu dah jadi lama dah. So saya bukan nak menambahkan hutang dia. I just want to receive that money from that particular person. So what I'm going to do here is, madam akan credit bad debts recovery. Okay, sebab saya hanya hidupkan dia sementara saja, so that I am able to collect the money from that particular person. Okay, so lepas saya hidupkan dia dekat sini, I akan matikan dia balik. Okay, so I matikan dia macam mana? Madam akan debit cash ataupun bank lah. Okay, tapi bank is very rare sebab dia dah bankrupt kan. Selalunya orang bankrupt ni dia tak ada account dah. Okay, so depending on what way he is paying you lah. Kalau dia bagi cash, you debit cash. Kalau dia bagi check, you debit bank. Okay, and then you akan matikan dia. Yang ni yang I masukkan tadi, matikan dia. You will credit the accounts receivable. That means just now kita reinstate the amount, kita hidupkan dia to that particular amount. Lepas kita dapat duit tu, kita matikan dia balik. So automatically he is no longer in your record. You just wujudkan dia for that particular time so that saya boleh terima duit. So nanti bila saya nak disburse the item into the subsidiary, saya tahu duit tu nak pergi mana. Okay, alright. So berapa yang you terima tadi, you debit lah, and then you will credit the accounts receivable. So automatically here the transaction is closed, settled. Okay, you have no any other business with that particular person anymore. Sebab tadi you dah hidupkan dia sekejap, you terima duit, and automatically after that you close the account back. Okay, so this is when we are using the direct write-off method. So kalau direct write-off method, kita akan credit bad debts recovery. Okay, tetapi let's say kita nak recover hutang from your bad debts accounts, tapi your perniagaan menggunakan allowance method. Okay, so cara dia sama juga sebenarnya. I will reinstate the amount into my account receivable. Saya akan hidupkan dia balik with the prior to the amount that he is willing to pay. Berapa dia nak bayar? So madam akan hidupkan dia balik sejumlah yang dia nak bayar. Lepas I terima duit tu, saya bunuh dia balik lah. Saya matikan dia balik. Tapi kalau kita guna direct write-off method tadi, kita akan credit dekat sini bad debt expense kan? Bad debts recovery kan? Tapi kalau saya guna allowance method, okay, saya debit accounts receivable under that particular person name, tapi madam tak akan credit bad debts recovery sebab in my account I already have allowance for doubtful debts. So I reinstate balik nilai tu mestilah masuk ke my allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so ada beza kalau kita guna allowance method dengan guna direct write-off method. Okay, alright. So you dah hidupkan dia dekat atas ni with prior to the amount that he is willing to pay, and then di bawah ni kita akan terima cash ataupun check from that particular person, and after you receive the payment from that person, automatically the transaction is completed, settled. So kita akan matikan dia balik. So you will credit accounts receivable prior to that person's name lah. Okay. So amount dekat atas ni dan amount di bawah ni mesti sama. Sebab account receivable tu diwujudkan sementara saja in order for you to receive the money. Okay. Lepas you terima duit tu, habis dah. Tak ada apa-apa dah urusan dengan that particular person. Okay. Cuma beza dia, kalau saya guna allowance method, masa saya nak hidupkan dia balik, I will credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay. Tapi kalau madam guna direct write-off method, okay, when I reinstate the amount, I will not credit allowance for doubtful debts. Instead, madam akan credit bad debts recovery. So journal tak sama, okay, depending on the method you are using to record your bad debts expense. Okay, boleh ke? Boleh faham? Okay, alright, kita tengok contoh. Okay, we look at example 5 in your notes. Okay. Alright, in this question, dia bagi kamu extract from your trial balance. Okay, the accounts receivable in this question is 100,000. Okay, so information ni is on 31st of July 2017 lah. Okay. Okay, so ditulis kat situ Encik Hali 31st of July 2017. This is first. Okay, Encik Hali has paid 300 ringgit of his debt that was already classified as bad debt previously. Okay, so maksudnya Encik Ali ni dah no longer in your subsidiary list lah. Okay, suddenly he came back. He wants to pay back the money. Okay, so he is willing to pay the amount of 300 ringgit from his previous debt that was already classified as bad debt. So kalau tengok dalam record dia memang tak ada. Tapi kita tahulah, we already considered him as bad debts previously kan. Okay, so sekarang ni kalau awak tengok dalam soalan, kat atas ni, tak ada pun apa-apa information yang bagi tahu you guna allowance method. Okay, so kita tahu example 5 ni we are using direct write-off method. Okay, so what's the first step that we need to do? Apa yang kita nak buat? So kejadian ni berlaku pada 31 Julai. Kita nak terima duit tu 31 Julai. So the date of the transaction will be on the 31st of July as well. Okay, alright. So apa yang saya akan buat dulu? Sekejap Jurin tanya, Madam kalau record terbalik macam debit cash, credit account receivable dan di atas tu. Okay, Jurin, kalau you nak terima duit daripada dia, receivable tu mesti wujud dulu kan? Betul tak? Walaupun benda tu berlaku pada tarikh yang sama, tapi dia mestilah ikut sequence kan? Contoh, you janganlah jadi macam Superman. Macam you kan, you pakai seluar dalam dulu baru pakai seluar kan? Kita janganlah jadi macam Superman. Superman dia pakai seluar dulu baru pakai seluar dalam. Faham tak maksud Madam? Jurin, you get what I mean? Okay. Alright, no, that was a very silly example lah. No, what I mean is, sebenarnya tak salah. Tapi kalau ikut logik, I kena wujudkan dia dulu, baru saya boleh terima duit. Sebab kalau dia tak ada dalam my receivable, okay, from where do I record the the receiving of the money kan? Okay, sebab dia tarikh berlaku pada tarikh yang sama, correct. Tapi walaupun kita tahu dia berlaku tarikh yang sama, which one goes first, tak ada masalah. Cuma dari segi logik, you sebagai accountant kan, mestilah you hidupkan dia dulu baru you matikan dia balik. Betul tak? Okay, Jurin? Okay, okay, so Madam nak catat apa dulu ni? Untuk the first one. Nak kena panggil orang lah kamu ni. Tidur ke? Hazim? Are you there, Hazim?
Ya, ada, Madam.
Ada. Okay, Madam nak buat apa dulu sekarang ni, Hazim? Dia nak datang bayar ni. Saya tak sabar nak ambil 300 ni nak pergi KFC. Okay, so Madam nak catat apa?
Debit account receivable kan, Madam?
Okay. Debit account receivable. Atas nama?
Atas nama Ali.
Okay. Apa account yang madam akan credit?
Allowance AFDD.
Saya guna method apa ni?
Oh, direct write-off kah?
Yes, saya guna
Okay,
direct
okay.
write-off. Okay.
Bad debt recovery.
Bad debts recovery. Okay, jumlah?
Credit.
Jumlah
Jumlah
berapa?
300.
Jumlah 300. Okay, so bad debts recovery. Okay, debit, account receivable, credit, bad debts recovery, RM300. Okay, so apa yang berlaku dekat sini? I recovered the amount. Okay, madam reinstate the amount lah. So sekarang ni, at this point, Encik Ali tu dah masuk balik dalam kita punya subsidiary. Sebab kita recover dia daripada bad debts. Okay, alright. After that, baru saya boleh terima duit daripada Encik Ali. Okay, so what am I supposed to journalize here? Bradley, you there? Brad?
Yes.
Okay, so what will be my journal?
Debit cash,
Debit cash.
credit account receivable under
Okay.
Encik Ali.
Alright, thank you. How much, Bradley?
300.
Okay, so yang ni kita collect money from Encik Ali. Okay, so what you did here is kita recover balik bad debts from the return of person. Maksudnya orang tu sebelum ni dah di write off sebab tak mampu bayar hutang. But he came back and he wanted to pay back the amount that he owed. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do reinstate balik nilai tadi. So masukkan semula 300 tu ke dalam your receivable under the name of Encik Ali, because before this Encik Ali is no longer in your subsidiary list. Okay, lepas tu baru kita boleh terima duit daripada dia. So after you reinstate the amount, baru kita boleh debit cash and credit accounts receivable. So difference dia sebab kita guna kita guna direct write off method. When you reinstate the amount dekat sini, okay, kita mesti kreditkan dia dengan bad debt recovery. Yang warna hitam tu. Okay, kalau saya guna allowance method, madam akan credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, macam mana saya tahu dia direct write off method? Sebab dalam soalan ni tak nampak pun di mana-mana wujudnya allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so bila tak ada maklumat tentang allowance for doubtful debts, that means soalan ni mesti dijawab menggunakan direct write off method. Are you okay? Alright. Okay, we look at practice 1. Okay, saya bagi awak 1 minit baca soalan. Yeah, practice 1 is in your notes. Okay, Perniagaan Mekah reports the following information in the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020. Okay, so you kena faham in this topic, actually kita akan buat semua transaction yang berkaitan dengan account receivable. Not necessarily bad debt sahaja. Maksudnya apa-apa sahaja transaction yang melibatkan account receivable will be journalized here in this topic. Okay, alright. So dia ada bagi baki on the 31st of December 2020. Dia bagi you balance of accounts receivable, that is 1 million. Lepas tu you ada allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, allowance for doubtful debts ni kalau dalam financial position, this amount akan appear di current asset. Okay, below your accounts receivable. Okay, dia something like accumulated depreciation. You ada asset tu, you akan minus dengan accumulated depreciation, you get your net asset amount. Okay, tapi untuk accounts receivable, kita akan deduct dengan allowance for doubtful debts. So yang ni 940,000 ni is actually your net realizable amount lah. Okay, alright. The few transaction happening for Perniagaan Mekah for the year 2021. Okay, ini baki akhir tahun lepas. So automatically dia akan jadi baki awal tahun 2021. Okay, so what happened in 2021? Okay, satu, kita ada credit sales, amount is 2,600,000 ringgit. Lepas tu kita terima bayaran from your accounts receivable. The amount is 2,300,000 ringgit. Okay, And on the same year, that is 2021, there were bad debts. Bad debts ni maksudnya memang orang tu tak boleh bayar balik lah. So this amount will be written off from your accounts receivable. So the amount is 65,000 ringgit. Okay, so apa yang kita nak buat dekat sini? Okay, requirements of the question. The first thing you need to do is record the above transaction in general journal. Apa yang awak nak catat tu sebenarnya? Kita nak catat transaction 1, transaction 2, and transaction 3. So your question will be something like this. Dia tak straightforward terus minta bad debts expense lah. Okay, you need to record from the very beginning what happened in your accounts receivable. Okay, lepas tu dia bagi kamu satu requirement tambahan. Okay, on number 2, dia kata show the adjustment ledger of bad debt expense on 31st December. So we are supposed to do the adjusting entries for your bad debt expense. Okay, so sekarang ni saya nak guna method apa? Which method? From beginning lagi saya dah nampak dah perkataan allowance for doubtful debts ni. So maksudnya madam akan guna allowance method. Okay, cuma nak guna which way of calculations. Okay, dia bagi dekat sini provision dia ialah 5% upon your accounts receivable balance. Okay, so maksudnya sekarang ni bila madam nak buat adjusting entries for the bad debts, I akan guna my account receivable balance to find the bad debts expense. Okay, alright. So solution yang pertama untuk nombor 1 ni, I need to record all these 3. Ni semua awak dah belajar. Okay, alright. So you need to record for me. Okay, so what will be the first journal? Journal pertama tu apa? What will be your journal entry for number 1? Number 1. Kena panggil nama
Receivable and sales.
Debit.
Debit accounts receivable, credit sales.
How much, my dear?
2,600,000.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first entry in your journal will be debit accounts receivable 2,600,000 and credit sales 2,600,000. So apa yang kita buat dekat sini? To record a credit sales. Okay, alright. This is for information number 1. Okay, itu yang sebenarnya you kena buat dulu. Alright, so soalan ni nampak mudah dalam contoh je lah. The actual one is a comprehensive one. So that means you kena kira daripada awal apa yang berlaku dalam your accounts receivable in order to get the final balance. Okay, the ending balance. Okay, now nombor 2 ni kita terima bayaran from your accounts receivable. That means your debtors pay you. Okay, so how do I record in a form of journal? What will my journal be? Siti Aminah. Siti Aminah ada? Jurin dah jawab kan? Thank you, Jurin. Okay, so madam ambil jawapan Jurin ya. Okay, so Jurin kata debit. Okay, cash. Betul ke Jurin debit cash? Okay, yes. Debit cash 2,300,000. Credit accounts receivable 2,300,000. So here you are recording the cash receipt ataupun to record payment received from debtors atau from accounts receivable. Mana-mana pun boleh as long as the meaning is there lah. Okay, alright. What will be the third journal? Journal yang ketiga, dia kata ada hutang yang tak dapat dikutip. Yang ni confirm. Bankrupt sudah orang ni. So macam mana madam nak catat journal dia? Siapa nak jawab? Siti Aminah lah. Tadi ada panggil lah Siti Aminah tu kan? Siti Aminah. Siti Aminah. Oh, Siti Aminah. Ya madam. Siti Aminah jawab nombor 3. Boleh? Debit apa, kredit apa? Can you do that, Siti Aminah? Okay, yang saya nak catat sekarang ni to write off bad debts. Okay? Alright. Sekarang saya guna method apa, Siti Aminah? Saya guna method apa? Saya guna allowance method atau direct write-off method? Which method am I using? Which method are we using to answer this question? Allowance method atau direct? Allowance method, yes. So kalau allowance method, kita tak akan debit bad debt expense ya. Okay, debit bad debt expense, credit account receivable hanya apabila you guna direct write-off method. Okay, tapi kalau saya guna allowance method untuk write off that hutang, Madam akan debit allowance for doubtful debts. Ni beza dia. Sebab method dia berbeza. You okay, Siti Aminah? Boleh Okay. So amount dia tetap sama lah. 65,000. Cuma dekat sini, debit ni, kalau saya guna direct write-off method tadi, my debit entry will be bad debt expense. Tapi bila saya write off, okay, bila saya mengeluarkan hutang yang tak dapat dikutip daripada my debtors using allowance method, Madam tak akan debit bad debt expense. Sebaliknya, saya akan debit allowance for doubtful debt. So, account yang didebitkan ini berbeza bergantung kepada your method of recording the write-off. Okay? Write-off tu perbuatan menghapuskan hutang yang tak dapat dikutip. Okay, tapi direct write-off itu ialah method. You don't get confused bunyi dia lebih sama memanglah. Tapi yang kita buat sekarang ni kita write off. Write off tu maksudnya you delete orang lah. Tapi kalau direct write off, that is actually a method. Maksudnya write off tu direct, memang potong terus daripada amount. Sebab tu you nampak dalam catatan di direct write off method tadi kita debit bad debt expense. Dia terus anggap benda tu bad debt expense. Tapi kalau kita guna allowance method, nilai tu kita masukkan ke dalam allowance for doubtful debts. Okay? Alright. So now, I dah settle number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay? So sekarang Madam nak buat adjusting entries for my bad debts. Okay? So berapa persen kita punya allocation or provision tadi? How many percent? How much? 5%. Okay. Soalan saya nak darab dengan ending balance for my AR kan? Betul tak? Betul tak?
Betul.
Okay. Berapa? Okay. Siapa boleh jawab ni? Madam bagi RM20. Saya transfer dalam akaun awak kejap lagi. Okay. Berapa nilai ending balance untuk accounts receivable? Siapa boleh jawab? Claim dekat saya RM20. Madam transfer masuk account you kejap lagi. Tim semangat, tim. Tim nak beli game lah tu. Game online. Cepat tim, kira. Berapa ending balance untuk accounts receivable? Siapa dapat dulu? Saya bagi.
235000 kan, Madam?
Salah. Okay. Ada dah tu. Ezekiel jawab dulu. Yes, thank you. Okay, the rest can stop. Madam dah dapat pemenang. Ezekiel nanti PM Madam ya. Okay, Ezekiel jawab 1, 2, 3, 1,235,000 ringgit. Okay, macam mana dapat 1, 2, 3, 500? Okay? Okay. So, sekarang kita nak kira closing balance. Okay, tadi dalam soalan, baki you ada 1 juta. Betul? Lepas tu, kita buat lagi credit sales. 2,600,000. And then, kita terima bayaran. So, kita tolak 230,000. Lepas tu, ada hutang yang tak dapat dikutip. It was written off from your accounts receivable. The amount is deducted. That is 65,000. So, your ending balance for your accounts receivable is 1,235,000. Okay, so 5% tu nanti Madam akan kira dari sini. Ezekiel, nanti kita PM ya. PM tepi. Thank you Ezekiel. And the rest pun okay. Cuma lambat sikit menaip. Okay, ya? Tak apa, nanti kita buka lagi quiz. Wah, hari ni tiba-tiba Hakimi kawan pula dengan Ezekiel. Okay, so now kita nak cari closing balance for AFDD. So just now you have that 5%. So 5% tu you akan darab dengan 1,235,000 ringgit. Okay, so yang ni kita darab dulu. Dibagi dalam soalan. Yang ini saya akan dapat apa lepas saya kira ni? Yang ini bila saya darab dengan 5%, Madam will get the ending balance atau the closing balance for allowance for doubtful debts. Okay? So sekarang ni saya nak buat adjusting entries, right? So yang saya nak cari ialah bad debts expense. I nak cari benda ni. Okay? So by calculating this will lead me to the bad debt expense amount. Okay, so I already have the ending balance. Okay, this will be your CF balance for your AFDD kan? 61,750. Okay, so tadi in the question, dia dah bagi kamu baki awal. Nampak kan? This is actually baki awal AFDD. Ia baki akhir tahun lepas. Tahun ni dia akan jadi baki awal lah. Alright. Okay, so macam biasa, nak cari bad debt expense, you need to open up your ledger. Okay, the first thing entry yang saya akan masukkan will be my balance brought forward. 60,000 is taken from the question dalam your financial position excerpt tadi. Okay, dalam petikan financial position tu. Sebab dia bagi tu ialah baki 2020. So baki 2020 will be baki awal for 2021. Okay. Tadi awak kira yang ni, CF ni, kita dapat baki akhir untuk 2021. Okay. So Madam akan masukkan dekat sini. Baki akhir untuk 20,000 pula, sorry. Untuk 2021. Okay, baki akhir. Clear? Sampai sini okay? Boleh?
Boleh.
Okay, alright. Go back to your journal. Pergi balik dekat journal. Sebab sekarang ni saya buka ledger allowance for doubtful debts. So apa-apa yang ada catatan yang perlu divert ke allowance for doubtful debts, you kena masukkan. Okay, so kita tengok dekat sini. Okay, the first entry tak ada apa-apa pun. Allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, clear. Second one, ada debit cash, credit account receivable. Tak ada apa-apa. Clear. Okay, third one. Third one ni dia ada debit, allowance for doubtful debts, credit accounts receivable. So, maksudnya benda ni akan transfer masuk ledger. That means the allowance for doubtful debts, Madam will debit 65,000 ringgit. So I already made a ledger here. So on the debit side will be another amount. Tadi tak ada sebab dalam soalan tadi tak ada. But this time around adalah sebab kita buat from scratch. So di sebelah debit ada accounts receivable 65,000 ringgit taken from the journal you did earlier. So this is number 3. Okay? Boleh? Okay, ada tak apa-apa lagi nak masuk? Tak ada. I check dalam trial balance tak ada. Saya check dalam journal tak ada. Okay. Jumlah besar di mana? Jumlah besar di sebelah debit. So, Madam jumlahkan sebelah debit dulu. The amount here is 126,750. Okay. So, jumlah sebelah kredit akan ikut jumlah yang samalah. Tapi kalau you tengok ada missing item kan? Sebab jumlah dia tak tally pun dengan 126,750. So there's amount that is missing. Amount yang missing tu ialah 66,750 dan dia berada di sebelah kredit That means itu ialah your bad debt expense. So nilai ni, kenapa saya nak cari? Sebab Madam nak jawab soalan 2. Soalan 2 ni dia suruh buat adjustment entry for my bad debt expense on the 31st of December. Okay? So, I kena cari bad debt expense. Jadi, macam mana Madam nak catat journal dia? Okay? Since you already get the item, kalau saya nak buat journal, okay, this one. So, kita tambah kat bawah ni lah ya. Alright. Wait ya. Okay. So, kita akan tambah satu item dekat bawah ni. Okay. So, this will be your adjusting entries. Kita akan debit. Okay. Apa yang you akan debit? Bad debts expense. Okay. Dan saya akan credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay. Amount here is 66,750. Okay. Alright, so yang atas ni kita jawab soalan 1. Yang bawah ni kita jawab soalan 2. So this is your adjusting entries on the 31st of December. Yang 1, 2, 3 ni kita catat semasa kejadian tu berlaku. That means on the respective date lah. Bila you terima bayaran tu, so dia ikut tarikh tu. Bila you buat bayaran, dia akan ikut tarikh tu. Tapi yang the last part here, yang below ni, okay, Madam akan letak di warna kuning. Okay, the last one here is actually adjusting entries. Okay, so macam mana dapat adjusting entries tu? You kena tengok, kita guna percentage upon net credit sales atau kita guna percentage upon balance, last balance, ending balance of your accounts receivable. So yang soalan ni dia guna percentage upon your ending balance of account receivable. So the first thing saya kena buat, saya kena kira dulu berapa baki akhir bad debt expense saya. Okay, so dah kira baki akhir bad debt expense. What I need to do is, Madam akan ambil provision given, the percentage given in the question. Okay, so percentage given dalam soalan ialah 5%. So Madam akan darab dengan baki akhir account receivable tadi. So you'll get 61,750. So kalau saya guna percentage upon last balance atau ending balance of account receivable, nilai yang didarab dengan percentage tu will bring me to the ending balance of my AFDD. Okay, so kerja saya tak selesai lagi lah. Sebab bila saya nak buat adjustment, I need to find bad debt expense. Cari, okay, bad debt expense. This is what you need to find. So kalau guna accounts receivable, the only way to calculate the bad debt expense, you kena buat satu allowance for doubtful debts ledger. Masukkan baki awal, yang ini diberi dalam soalan. Baki akhir, yang ini kita kira sendiri. Lepas tu tengok balik dalam journal yang you sediakan dari awal tadi. Ada tak apa-apa item yang berkaitan dengan accounts, allowance for doubtful debts yang kita perlu masukkan, slot in into the ledger as well. So just now, kalau awak tengok, di sini, ada satu transaction, debit, allowance for doubtful debts, 65,000. So, dalam my allowance for doubtful debts, Madam akan debit. Dia ada kat debit lah. Okay, 65,000. Dia punya particulars is accounts receivable. Dia tak boleh lah tulis diri dia sendiri kan, sebab dia dah masuk rumah dia sendiri. So, dia punya partner tu is the catatan bergu. Okay, the double entry system. Right, so dia punya partner is accounts receivable. So, macam biasa, when you want to calculate your bad debt expense, you need to total up both sides lah. So kita akan tengok jumlah mana yang lebih besar. So here the biggest amount is on the debit side. So the credit side will follow the same amount you get from your debit side. So the total here is 126,750. So kalau kita tengok missing item is on the debit side. That means dalam soalan ni kita akan dapat bad debt expense. Okay? Tapi sorry. Alamak. Sekejap Okay. Tapi kalau you dapat amount tu di sebelah debit, that won't be your bad debt expense. That will be decrease of your AFDD. Okay, so amount ni yang madam nak cari sebenarnya, that 66,750, so that I can do the adjusting entries to allocate my bad debt expense for the year 2021. Okay, so pengiraan dia akan sampai sinilah untuk satu soalan. Okay, alright. Ada apa-apa nak tanya?
Madam,
Ya.
boleh repeat balik tak bahagian yang account receivable 65,000 tu?
Oh, okay, sure, no problem.
Okay, madam.
Okay, so tadi yang ni ialah daripada sini ya. Okay. Okay, kalau awak tengok dalam soalan, dia suruh journalize all the transaction in 2021. So tadi saya catat journal untuk credit sales, and then I catat journal untuk receipt from my accounts receivable. Yang ni bad debts. Maknanya yang berlaku dekat sini is actually write off tau. Write off tu maknanya kita buang lah dia daripada receivable kita. Okay, so the first item, the first journal from number 1 ni, kita akan debit account receivable credit sales. Yang ni macam biasalah, kita catat credit sales. Kan selalu kalau kita buat credit sales, your account receivable bertambah, your sales pun bertambah kan. So kita akan debit account receivable, kita credit sales. Okay, that's the first catatan. Second one is receipt from account receivable. That means you terima bayaran. So bila I terima bayaran, since dia tak mention apa-apa, silent, it's cash lah. Alright, so saya akan debit cash. So amount tu saya terima daripada mana? Saya terima daripada account receivable. So account receivable saya akan berkurang. So I can credit account receivable with the amount 2,300,000. Okay, the third one is kita nak tulis write off. Kita nak catat write off. Okay, you kena faham write off ni ada dua kaedah. Kalau saya guna direct write off method, kalau saya nak, okay, dia ada dua method kan? Direct write off method dengan direct write off method. Okay, satu lagi kita ada ialah allowance method. Okay, direct write off dengan allowance method, dua-dua kaedah ni ada cara untuk hapuskan debtors yang tak boleh bayar hutang. Okay, so dua-dua ni kita akan kredit AR. Yang ni pun kita akan kredit AR. Sorry, sekejap. Yang ni pun kita akan kredit AR. Tapi apa beza dia? Kalau direct write off method, kita akan debit bad debt expense. Tapi since this question I am using allowance method, madam tak akan debit bad debt expense. Sebaliknya madam akan debit allowance for doubtful debts. So dua benda ni is actually untuk satu tujuan yang sama, to write off bad debts. Okay, tapi guna different method. Okay, macam mana saya tahu saya guna allowance method? Sebab dekat atas ni, you dah nampak dah ni. Dia dah bagi baki. So that means allowance for doubtful debt sudah wujud, dah memang ada. So I need to use that method to calculate anything that is related to my accounts receivable. So apa-apa madam nak catat untuk account receivable dalam soalan ini mesti guna allowance method. Kalau dalam soalan tak ada sebut langsung allowance for doubtful debts ni, madam akan guna apa-apa saja catatan dalam account receivable saya tadi, guna direct write off method. Okay, so tadi saya nak buang hutang yang tak boleh dikutip tu kan. So, madam akan debit allowance for doubtful debts, credit accounts receivable. So, daripada journal, kita akan posting ke ledger kan? Betul? Tapi, dekat sini, madam tak buat ledger AR. Betul eh? Madam tak buat ledger sales. Madam tak buat ledger cash. So, you tak nampak benda tu. Actually, dia ada. It's just that kita tak guna lah sebab saya tak perlu apa-apa maklumat daripada ledger tersebut. Tapi sekarang, sebab saya nak buat catatan untuk adjustments for my bad debts, I need to find my bad debt expense. Okay? So, bila saya nak cari saya punya bad debt expense ni, madam kena buka ledger AFDD. Okay? So, bila saya ada ledger AFDD, apa-apa transaction dalam journal saya ni mesti masuk lah. Kena post lah from journal to ledger. The same thing that you did in topic 3 kan? You dah buat journal, then you post ke ledger. So, benda yang sama lah kita buat. So, ni ada satu je yang ada kaitan dengan AFDD. Dia kata debit allowance for doubtful debts. That means bila saya buka ledger allowance for doubtful debts, amount tu akan berada di sebelah debit. Berapa amount dia? 65,000. What is the particular? The double entry system lah, dia punya partner. That is accounts receivable. Okay? So, bila saya buka saya punya ledger tadi just now, you can see here, this amount, 65,000, madam ambil dari journal nombor 3 tadi. Debit allowance for doubtful debts, credit accounts receivable. So, ini allowance for doubtful debts. Debit kan dia cakap? So, catatan tu masuk sebelah debit. Apa nilai dia? 65,000. Apa particulars dia? Dia punya partner lah. Accounts receivable. Okay? Lepas tu, saya masukkanlah semua item yang berkaitan dengan AFDD. Saya tengok dalam soalan, dia ada baki awal. And then, kita dah kira tadi yang kat atas ni, this is my baki akhir. So, I masukkan siap-siap rumah masing-masing. Kenapa masukkan siap-siap rumah masing-masing? Sebab, I need to calculate my bad debt expense. Okay, so madam nak cari yang mana? Madam nak cari yang warna biru ni. Yang warna biru ni nak kena kira. So, I already have 2 items on the debit side. Okay, so on the debit side, kita dah ada 126,750. So, madam cakap tadi kan, when you are closing the account, you akan jumlahkan dulu jumlah yang terbesar. Okay, so the biggest item, the biggest amount here is 126,750 for this particular ledger lah. Okay, so sebelah kredit akan follow jumlah di sebelah debit tadi. Okay, yang ni tally dah, cukup. Tapi you tengok sebelah kredit tak cukup sebenarnya. Sebab yang merah ni cuma ada 60,000 je. So, masih ada short. Nilai yang short tu ialah 66,750. Apa benda tu? Yang ini, sebab dia berada di sebelah kredit, dia ialah bad debt expense. Kalau dia berada di sebelah debit, dia akan jadi decrease of AFDD. Okay ke? Am I answering your question?
Yes, madam.
Faham ya? Boleh? Okay, so
Thank you,
bila you
madam.
buat soal, thank you. Thank you pula, sorry. Welcome. So bila kita buat topik 7 ni, dia nampak macam simple tapi you kena catat semua yang berkaitan dengan your accounts receivable. Not necessarily just untuk write off saja. Sebab kita kena catat dari awal lah. You ada credit sales, kita catat. You ada payment received, kita catat. You ada hutang yang tak boleh dibayar, write off, kita catat. And then you will, the last part of the question, kita akan buat dia punya adjusting entries. Okay, itu kalau guna allowance method. Tapi kalau saya guna direct write off method, simple je. Dia cuma ada satu je entry, iaitu bunuh orang tu tadi. Okay, madam, boleh ulang kenapa account receivable tu bukan decrease in AFDD? Bukan. Okay, Rafi, bila saya buka AFDD ni, sebelum saya cari apa-apa nilai yang short, madam kena masukkan semua item yang dah ada dalam soalan. So, kalau you tengok balik dalam soalan tu, balance BF ni ada kan? Dia bagi. Balance CF ni, dia tak bagi. Kita cari. Account receivable ni pun dia bagi sebenarnya. Sebab itu adalah catatan dalam nombor 3. So, bila I dah selesai catat journal nombor 1, nombor 2, nombor 3, bila saya nak post ke ledger account allowance for doubtful debts, I kena ambil semua yang berkaitan dengan AFDD, I kena masuk dulu. Kena masuk dulu sampai dah tak ada apa-apa item, baru boleh cari sama ada AFDD, decrease of AFDD ataupun bad debt expense. Clear ke, Rafi? Boleh? Rafi okey ke?
Boleh, madam.
Boleh, madam. Okay, alright. Okay, any more question? Tak ada? Okay, kalau tak ada, kita try practice tu. Okay, alright. Saya bagi awak 5 minit. 5 minit memang tak buat lah. Okay, kita baca soalan dulu. Okay, alright. Powerland started his business on 1st January 2000. Okay, for the year 2020. Typo ke madam? Bukan ya. Dia buka bisnes 2000. Okay, selepas 20 tahun. Selepas 20 tahun. Opening balance of account receivable is 120,000 and the following transaction have occurred. Okay, ni dia bagi tahu apa yang berlaku. So, masa dia buka tu, dia tak cerita apa-apa pun pasal AFDD ya. Okay, tapi after 20 years, dia ceritalah benda ni. Okay, what happened on 2020? Okay, nombor 1, on 24th July 2020, the company recognized a debtor, Robert, who was declared bankrupt and unable to pay his debts. Okay, 1, Robert bankrupt. So, kita kena buat apa? Kita kena buat write-off. Okay? Alright. On the 10th of August, Renaf Ace loses and could not pay his debts. Ada seorang lagi pun tak boleh bayar hutang juga. Tadi mula-mula Julai si Robert ni. Kemudian on 10 of August, Renaf pula tak boleh bayar hutang. So we have 2 write-off to declared later. Okay. And then on 14 of October, tiba-tiba Robert ni, gatal sungguh si Robert ni kan. Tadi tak mau bayar, sekarang mau bayar pula. Okay, so Robert ni wants to pay his 5,000 ringgit to settle his previous debts. Okay, kalau you tengok asalnya hutang dia is 10,000 ringgit, but now he's willing to reinstate the amount and pay for that 5,000 ringgit only lah. Okay lah kan, daripada tak ada langsung. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? Baca soalan sampai habis. Okay, due to economic crisis, the company provided 10% on the balance of accounts receivable for allowance for doubtful debt next year. Next year, tahun depan. Maksudnya baru nak diwujudkan. Okay, so provision is made since 31st December 2020. That means sebelum tu dia guna which method? From 2000 sampai 2020, dia guna method apa untuk catat accounts receivable dia?
Direct write-off.
Yes, dia guna direct write-off. Betul tak? Tapi lepas dia dah bunuh-bunuh orang dekat atas 3 orang ni, baru dia tersedar, oh banyak pula orang yang tak membayar hutang ni kan. Dah jadi susah lah tiap-tiap kali nak kena write-off. So, apa kata kita wujudkan allowance for doubtful debts. Maksudnya on 2020, towards the end of the year, baru dia nak wujudkan AFDD. That means AFDD tu before that tak ada lah. Towards the end saja baru ada. Okay, so we need to prepare a journal entry for each transaction. Okay, so sekarang kita faham the first 3 dekat atas ni tak guna allowance method, masih guna direct write-off method. Sebab masa tu dia tak ada kesedaran civic lagi lah. Okay, towards the end of the year baru dia sedar, oh tak boleh lah. Kalau I tak buat provision macam ni, nanti susah saya nak kira saya punya net profit for the coming years. So I need to hold up a provision ataupun allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, so the thing that we need to do, kita nak prepare journal entry dulu. Okay, July 24th. Kita catat, sebab ini bukan adjusting entries so benda tu dicatat pada masa kejadian berlaku. Okay, alright. So sekarang Tadi kan ada kan 24 bulan. Okay. Sebab kita guna direct write off ya. So direct write off memang you catat on the date lah. Kalau allowance method memang kita catat towards the end of the accounting period. Okay, so what happened on the 24th? Robert tak boleh bayar. So saya buang dia daripada hutang saya. So I will debit bad debt expense and credit account receivable under the name of Robert with the amount of 10,000 ringgit. Okay? Yang ni okay? Boleh? Okay, so Robert dah mati.
Okay.
So Madam dah tutup. Alright. So next one will be on the 10th of August. Okay. So on the 10th of August, what happened? Rinaf tak boleh bayar hutang kan? So we're going to write off Rinaf from our accounts receivable. So we will debit bad debt expense and we will credit accounts receivable under the name of Rinaf with the amount of 13,000 ringgit. This is to write off Rinaf because of bad debts. Okay? Okay. Sampai sini okay? Boleh? Okay, the third one, kalau you tengok dekat sini, apa jadi? Robert hidup balik kan? Okay, okay, so Robert hidup balik. So I need to do the bad debts recovery lah. Okay, so macam mana nak buat bad debts recovery? Okay, first one, tarikh dia nak bayar balik pada saya tu is on the 14th of October. Okay, alright. So, we need to reinstate the amount lah. Kena hidupkan dia dulu. Okay, tanya dia berapa dia nak bayar. He is willing to pay 5,000 ringgit. Okay, so kita reinstate dulu nilai itu dalam accounts receivable. Okay, so you will debit accounts receivable. Okay, and then we will credit bad debts recovery. Okay, this is from Roberts, right? So kita dah reinstate jumlah yang dia nak bayar pada kita, 5,000 ringgit. This is to record your bad debts recovered. Okay, okay, then apa kita nak buat? Kita nak terima duit daripada Robert. So on the 14th, on the same day itself, you akan debit cash. You akan credit accounts receivable under the name of Robert. So how much? The same amount that you reinstated just now lah. That will be 5,000 ringgit. Okay. So on October 14, we will debit accounts receivable under the name of Robert. We will credit bad debts recovered. This is to reinstate the amount. Lepas tu baru boleh terima bayaran kan? So we will debit cash on this time around. The same day, the same date, we will debit cash 5,000 ringgit to receive payment from Robert. And we will close the accounts receivable because the payment has been made. So we will credit account receivable under the name of Robert as well. So amount dekat sini 5,000. So sekarang ni Madam dah catat untuk 24th of July, 10th of August, and then 14th of October. 3 settle. Okay? Boleh? Okay, so sekarang saya nak kira saya punya adjusting entries 31st of December. Okay, so hujung tahun tu baru ada adjustment, right? Okay, so bila ada adjustment, I need to allocate 10% from the balance of my accounts receivable. Okay, kerja kamu sekarang cari baki akhir account receivable. Okay, another 20 ringgit. Laju si Izzat tu. Okay, betul lah Izzat? Betul kah? Izzat bagi tadi 97,000. Hakim bagi 9,700 je. Salah tu Kim. It's how much? It's 90. 97,000. Thank you. Izzat nanti PM tepi ya. Okay. So sekarang,
Okay.
okay, macam mana nak dapat baki account receivable? Tadi awak ada 120,000. Betul? Lepas tu? Izzat, what do you do?
Tolak 13,000.
Tolak 13? 10 tak tolak?
10 dulu.
Okay, kita tolak 10,000 dulu. Lepas tu kita tolak 13,000, betul? Okay, and then kita tambah 5,000, betul?
Ya.
Okay, so dekat sini Izzat dapat 97,000. Okay, so your ending balance untuk AR,
Tolak lagi madam 5,000.
tolak lagi 5,000. Yes. Okay, so kita dapat 97,000. Alright, so sekarang ni saya nak kira allocation for the provision. So that will be 10% from your 97,000 kan? Okay, so from your 97,000, it will be 9,700. Yang ini ialah baki akhir untuk AFDD. So madam nak kena cari apa ni? Saya kena cari bad debt expense. Okay, so I kena buka ledger lah. Okay, so allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, here. Alright. So kalau you tengok dalam soalan, baki dia kosong. Kenapa baki dia kosong? Sebab dia baru diwujudkan. Before that tak ada. Lepas tu you kira tadi 10% from 10% from 97,000. Okay, that is actually, alamak, sorry. 10% from your 97,000. That brings you to 9,700. Yang itu ialah baki akhir untuk AFDD. Okay, kalau saya tengok dalam journal tadi, memang tak ada apa-apa yang berkaitan dengan AFDD. So sebab tu my ledger ni, saya tak post apa-apa transaction. Okay, so I will close the ledger. So item sebelah debit paling banyak. So jumlah dia ialah 9,700. Dekat sini, actually kosong tau. Tapi you ada 9,700 kan? So that 9,700 is actually your bad debt expense. Okay, so madam akan debit bad debt expense 9,700 and madam akan credit allowance for doubtful debts 9,700 ringgit. So that is how I get my journal entry for adjusting entries for bad debt expense. Okay? Okay, ada soalan nak tanya? Tak ada. You okay with this? Okay. Alright. So kalau kita okay, kita akan buat soalan tutorial lah. Okay. Okay, soalan tutorial. Topik 7. Sekejap ya. Okay, just now, saya dah buat soalan 5 dan soalan 6, tutorial kamu. Okay, so that one is already done ya. Okay, so for homework. Sekejap. Okay, for homework, topic 7. Okay, kita akan buat Okay. Tutorial kamu soalan 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Boleh?
Boleh.
Okay.
Ulang, madam.
Nak lagi lebih lah tu, mau diulang-ulang. Okay, question 9, question 10, question 11, question 12, question 13, and question 14. Saya bagi masa panjang tau. Okay, sebab Rabu ni kita buat practical, so we won't be discussing our tutorial. Kita akan discuss tutorial topic 7 on Monday next week. Monday next week tu lama. Jangan bagi alasan line tak ada, takkanlah kau 8 hari ni 1 hari pun tak ada line. Okay Boleh You okay?
Boleh, madam.
Alright.
Boleh, madam.
So due date for this will be next coming Monday. Okay. So you have question 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Okay. The completed version of the notes nanti madam akan masuk dalam GC. So you please refer and then I will share you the video as well. Okay, for your reference. Okay. And then on Wednesday. Okay. On Wednesday kita akan sambung practical. Okay. We'll finish up case study 1 and then we'll proceed with the next case study. You need to do pairing with your friends. So nanti kita akan tukar nama company and all lah. We'll start from scratch. Mula balik dari awal. Daripada buka company sampai habis. Okay? Boleh? So this Wednesday we will only be your practical class. So your discussion for tutorial will be next coming Monday. Okay? Ada apa-apa nak tanya tak?
Madam boleh scroll atas sikit kan?
Boleh scroll atas sikit, boleh, no problem. This one? Yang ni kan?
Okay, madam.
Okay. Nanti yang ni saya masukkan dalam GC. Okay, you can refer to that also. Practical with partner. Yes, Mirsad. Practical kali ni memang dengan partner. Kalau partner you tak ada laptop ke macam mana pun, dia kena biasakan dirilah. Okay. Actually, you need to have laptop lah. Tapi I faham, most of you all tak ada. So, nanti masa you buat tu, you can share your opinions with your friends lah. Sebab kadang-kadang yang ada laptop pun dia tak biasa nak key in. So, yang tak ada laptop tu, like you already follow my class, you can help your friends to key in the data. Inform lah dia kalau ada silap ke apa semua. Alright? Okay, so next coming Wednesday,